The Cosmere never ceases to amaze me. I always think that I've seen so many wonders that there couldn't possibly be something else to see, and yet the ever-distant horizon always yields yet another secret. Although these stone landscapes can appear desolate, the various flora and fauna have adapted to this environment in fantastic and sometimes bizarre ways. I almost wish I were more interested in botany to truly enjoy this landscape. Yet these wonders seem to pale in comparison to the lives of the people who live on Roshar. I cannot begin to tell you how interesting it is to see an entire culture whose lives revolve around the massive storms that rage against the land. From architecture to gemstone economics, this land is far beyond anything I have seen in my exhaustive journeys. Roshar is home to one of the most terrifying artifacts in the known Cosmere. I wasn't here long before I started to hear legends of the Shardblades and Shardplates of old. These ancient weapons that were once wielded by the Knights Radiant. Apparently, these knights were protectors of this world during times of war and invasion. The orders of knights vanished nearly 1,000 years ago, and in their departure they left behind these artifacts of incredible power. As of now, I have only seen glimpses of these on passing lords. Apparently, they are incredibly rare, and the Alethi people with whom I am currently residing hold the most of any nation in the world. I will naturally do everything in my power to examine and discern the secrets of these invested objects, but for now I will give you a brief outline. Shardblades are most curious in their design. The weapons are disproportionately massive, often measuring out at nearly 6 feet in length. It is said that they are far lighter than any sword should be, especially for their size. This massive reach grants the wielder a distinct advantage in combat, especially when you consider the other properties of this blade. These weapons can cut through all known matter and living flesh. The blade passes straight through rock and stone as if it offered little resistance. I was skeptical of this at first, but I have witnessed this for myself. I watched lords drop their blades directly into the stone ground, the blades sinking in like a hot knife through butter. And yet these weapons reportedly do far stranger things to the men they strike. Instead of cutting living flesh, the blade seems to fade into a dense mist, passing directly through the victim. If the blade passes through the spine of the victim, they die immediately, their eyes smoldering into blackened craters. If the blade passes through limbs but misses the spine, the aforementioned limbs are not cut, but instead die, losing all feeling. In this case, the victim is crippled. As the blade leaves the body, it becomes solid again. Naturally, such weapons are incredibly effective on the fields of war, turning a skilled warrior into an army unto themselves. These blades are the most coveted items in Roshar, worth more than land rights and titles. For the Alethi, wielding one of these blades is essentially a title in and of itself. Apparently any man, even a peasant, or dark eyes as they call them here, can become a lord by obtaining such a weapon. However, this is nearly impossible to do when the blade must first be taken by force. Fascinatingly, the blades have another power that prevents the theft of a shard blade. When one is bonded with a shard blade, the weapon can be dismissed out of the physical realm and then called back by the weapon's master at will. This means that the blade is always under the control of the wielder. It will even vanish if dropped, most likely a safety to prevent the blade from being turned against the master. Clearly, these weapons make trained warriors nearly unstoppable. Yet the Shardplate armor offers protection from these unworldly blades. Shardplate is miraculous. There is no other word for it. The armor is majestic, perfect in every practical way. The plated armor completely covers the wearer in rigid supernatural metal plates that link together seamlessly. In fact, the only gap in the armor is a small viewing visor in the face mask. The armor is apparently incredibly heavy, but when it is fully charged with Stormlight investiture, the plate seems to support itself. Those who clad the armor are supported and enhanced by the armor, which then increases their physical speed and strength. The armor adapts to the bearer, fitting itself to the wielder's physical shape as it is donned. And if this wasn't enough, the helm apparently is translucent from the inside, allowing the wielder to maintain a blurred version of his peripheral vision. With such perfectly attuned armor, it is no wonder that the shard plate grants unusual powers to its bearers. These men can leap over chasms, survive large falls, and even deflect a shard blade. Shard plate provides the ultimate personal defense. However, this armor is not perfect. Shard blade strikes damage the armor greatly, causing it to fracture and eventually shatter. As the armor is weakened, it leaks investiture until it runs dry. At that point, the armor shuts down and traps the wielder under its incredible weight. It is possible for someone wearing shardplate to fall victim to mundane attacks as well. Arrows and typical sword strikes are marginally useless against such a heavy defense. However, consistent damage, especially from hammers or other heavy strikes, can lead to permanent plate damage or destruction. However, the level of damage needed to slow down and defeat a shard bearer requires the efforts of an army. Even if the shard plate is fractured or destroyed, the armor is not permanently defeated. It apparently can grow and be reformed from a fragment that is given enough Stormlight investiture. Strangely, in this regard, the shard plate seems more alive, behaving more like a plant than metal. I find them incredibly fascinating and cannot wait to examine a set for myself. While each type of shard is devastating on its own, together they make a force to be reckoned with. With the enhancements of Shardplate and the deadly versatility of a shard blade, full shard bearers make a mockery of traditional warfare. While they are not immortal, they have little to fear in combat with mundane foes. In fact, most shard bearers only fear the threat of other shard bearers, for it is incredibly unlikely that a typical soldier would ever pose a serious threat to the wielder. I have made it my mission to get a personal look at one of these shards. I fear it may take me some time to do so, since the weapons are so valuable. I am fortunate that I inherited my mother's grey eyes, for in Alethkar the nobility is set apart by their eye color. It seems strange, but it makes about as much sense as any other social hierarchy. Unfortunately, my apprentice Kassar has already been troubled in her work because of her dark eyes. Perhaps there is some way I can elevate her, or enhance her standing. Her potential far exceeds her social status. For now, we will continue to work for High Prince Dalinar. Give me a month and I shall have the prince's confidence. I am leaving on the morrow to begin collecting information for a spy network, which I will relay back as quickly as possible. It will be nice to put my skills to good use for once. I will write back as soon as I return. Until the next letter, Elsric. How's it going, guys? Thank you so much for joining me for this Letters from the Cosmere. If you're new to the Cosmere and you found this because you've been learning a little bit about the Way of Kings, I highly suggest you make sure to check out the book yourself. You can find it online, at Audible, like pretty much anywhere you can think of. It's fantastic, you should read it. And for those of you who enjoyed the art, please make sure to check out the links in the description. They're the first links you're going to see. They're going to lead you to all the artists and their respective works. Please make sure to let them know how much you appreciate their willingness to share it with us. It really makes this wonderful experience just to make and to watch. I also wanted to point out that if you have any art you would like to submit to Letters from the Cosmere, please make sure to contact me at my business email. You'll find it on my channel or right here at the bottom of the screen. And I will, of course, keep in touch with you and let you know when I post your art and where it'll probably be appropriate. And again, I hope you enjoy this series. I hope you enjoy the Cosmere, and look for a part 2 of Shards and Shardplate, because I'm going to be going much more in depth into this. For those who are up to speed on the books and the series already, I have a lot of really interesting theories and ideas that I want to share with you, well, that Elsric wishes to share with you. So stick around for that, and until the next video you see with me, or whatever you happen to see me in next, I'll see you there.